Welcome to Reread. Today I'm going to go over two short comic stories. They're both included in the awesome edition of the Wild Space Omnibus. They were in some Star Wars Kids magazine a long time ago, written by Ryder Wenham. The first one was The Rebel Thief. And even though I'd remembered both of these, I'd forgotten there is continuity in them. Of course there is, right? But it takes place, this one has to take place before classic Star Wars, so I'm going to move this around the timeline. The reason I say that is they make mention of, hey, you know, the Empire has been kind of quiet. They haven't, you know, come back to get us yet. And Leia goes, well, they will eventually. You just wait and see. I don't think Han would be saying that if there was a, you know, scouting mission, like a few TIE fighters strafing through Yavin. I don't think he would have said that, knowing what they knew in classic Star Wars. So I'm going to put this before classic Star Wars, which is fine. What happens is R2-D2 and C-3PO are talking to Q-7N from the Star Wars Missions children's books by Scholastic. Oh, knock me down. Of course, those are written by Ryder Wenham, but it's kind of funny. We learned in those missions books that Q7 was guarding a pirate treasure for 1,000 years, but he just kind of gave up because there's no one coming to look for it. He's bored. Well, he tells C-3PO that, and Han's like, whoa, hey, all of that, you know, treasure could help the Alliance buy some ships because they're needing ships. Remember, all their ships, or most of them, perished or were destroyed, damaged during the attack of the Death Star. So they're looking for extra money. And Han says, hey, sweetheart, I gave you back my reward. And you're like, no, you didn't. Crimson Jack stole your reward. Well, remember, if you put this before classic Star Wars, and right after the last issue, I think it was, what, 15? From the Marvel comic books, Han does get his revenge on Crimson Jack. It would make sense that Han got his, you know, his reward, and then maybe turned around and gave it back to Leia. Because that was the whole purpose of him going after Crimson Jack, because he has something of mine, the reward. So even though, like I said, they didn't connect those dots, you could easily say that when he killed Crimson Jack, he also took some of his loot back, the reward money back that Crimson Jack had stolen from him a long time ago. And then he just gave it back to the Empire, to the Rebellion, because now Luke and Leia are his friends. I would mention other rebels, but they're not mentioned in the comic books, just Luke and Leia. So that's the Rebellion. Anyway, when he and Chewbacca hear about that treasure, they think this is a perfect opportunity to go in there and get the money to buy or purchase some starships. So they get to the treasure vault, but Q7's like, wait a minute. When they find out that Han went to go search for the treasure, Q7 goes, I wasn't the only droid guarding it. And there's this old-timey looking battle droid that Han and Chewie have to defeat, and they do. They get the treasure, they sell it to a dealer on Tatooine who gives them 500,000 credits, and then Han sets apart some of it to pay back Jabba, because it would make sense. If he had this big treasure chest, you don't owe Jabba that much, give him some. Well, when it's delivered to Jabba, Jabba's like, oh, these are very nice and pretty, but I'm not removing the bounty on his head. Ho, 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 ho. So Jabba's still not, letting off on the bounty for Han. He has Han on the line. He wants to keep him there. Meanwhile, Leia thinks that Han took off with the treasure. See, he never bothered telling them that he was going to go to a dealer and get exchange for credits, which is kind of weird, but that's because Leia can speculate that Han's a no-good scoundrel. Well, when he comes back with the money, she's like, oh, because she had all the guards, ready to arrest him when he came back to Yavin. Can you bray like a donkey, Leia? Come on, give him a benefit of a doubt there. But she has the money, so now they can buy some X-Wings. And that is what the second short story comic book goes into. It's called X-Wing Marks the Spot. Han, Luke, and Leia go, because remember, the Rebel Alliance, go to buy some X-Wings from one of the designers. His name is Voorhees. I don't know. I don't care either. But TIE fighters attack them. There's a bunch of fakes and double fakes here, because the creator disguises himself, but Han recognizes him because he wears a sprocket of a X-Wing on his ring. And then he goes, yes, well, I had to make sure you weren't Imperials in disguise. And then later on, Han and Luke find the X-Wings that are being showcased are all fake. They're all fake, and they warn Leia. He goes, wait, of course they're fake. You wouldn't think I'd keep the real stuff here. I keep it hidden under here. Okay, just more fakes for the story to keep moving on, the short comic book to move on. But they finally get their X-Wings, their cache of X-Wings. They are able to escape the Imperials because the Empire does find them regardless of how many fakes and double fakes this designer had. They do find Luke, Leia, Han, the whole rebellion of 4 people. And then, of course, they escape with the X-Wings in tow by tricking the Empire. It's fine. It's fine. There is a part 3 to this, and usually I would put this right after, but it can't happen right after because it basically takes place once the Empire has actually landed and taken over Yavin, which, as we know, doesn't happen for at least a few weeks. What, days? These adventures are so packed together here. They couldn't have stayed on Yavin for more than a month, is my guess. Or 2 months max. So all these adventures we've been talking about happen one day after the next. I mentioned that when talking about the Rebellion era. So besides that, they're short stories. They're in the omnibus. They're not bad. I love that Ryder Wenham connected them and kind of wrapped up a loose end from missions, because they never mentioned about the treasure that Q7 was guarding that whole time, way back when he got introduced. So that was kind of nice. There's a little bit of payoff there, and as you know, I always love continuity. All right, folks, that's it for now. See you next time.